Okay, we've got a few resolutions to go over here. Why don't we start with the fence?
Yeah, I'll take this one. So this is for, Colonial Fence. This is for three, improvements that'll be necessary once the roadway is constructed. And, as well as the skate park project, just to, continue to, provide, access where the public is allowed and keep them out of where they shouldn't be. So this work likely won't begin until, the spring of this year. But we've got the, quote from a vendor that was approved, and we'll get a contract set up between now and then.
And I know that you had shown that map,
Mhm.
but just to make sure we're all on the same page. So it's going around the DPW site.
Yep.
Around the northern part.
Yep.
With a access path along Cantico or along.
It will be either or. We can make that decision, when the time comes, but it's
Okay.
the total linear footage is accounted for in either case.
Okay, so
So there's-
two shapes, call them markings. So the one around the DPW,
Huh.
and then the one around the other one. And then anywhere else?
There's some fencing down by, Beekman Avenue, right around the wall extension.
Around 193.
Yeah, just to protect, the roadway from that site. And then, maybe just another small amount that bisect the site, east-west, right, just kind of bisect north, from south of the parcel, at the Clinton Street or Continental Extension.
To keep people,
So it effectively preserves the bulk of the northern portion for whatever
Yes.
use we need.
okay, so that's the one shape,
Mhm.
then the other shape around the DPW, and then along the way,
Right,
and everything else will be over.
more or less.
Okay.
Yeah.
At the front too, along. Wraps.
Yep,
Right, so when the UAW is gone,
you'll just have a fenced off little.
they're gonna
Parcel.
extend the fence where the gate is now.
Mhm.
How many gates? 16?
No, it's about 6 gates total. Yeah,
Okay, so the whole area will be
secured.
secured. And we should really talk about the cameras and getting those repositioned. I think
Yeah,
That's
get some better views with
absolutely.
all the changes, okay?
so
All right,
this,
so keep going with the fence. Well,
That was it. I mean, 75,000.
and that's only for fencing, it said fencing and security improvements, but is that kind of like the same?
It's well,
Or-
it's that proposal is for 2,600 linear feet of 6-foot fence plus 6 double leaf gates of
Gates.
various sizes.
Okay. Okay,
And what's the time frame for putting those in? Have one yet?
It'll likely sometime this spring, sometime after the completion of the phase 2 work and before,
Everything.
right, after the roads are finished, but before the skate park is. Or park.
what about if the UAW comes down now?
Well, there is still going to be fencing that goes up just along the roadway.
Okay, but there isn't now.
There isn't now, there's a building there, but when the building comes down, there will be one piece of
And I
fence
keep
that,
talking about.
But it's not what they're doing.
that one strip of fence, no. They would be putting in fence along the finished roadway. So
Okay.
once you're ready to take the gate,
So
and
who's gonna put the fence in along Beekman where the building is?
that'll be Sean's lots.
Permanent.
Permanent, temporary.
Okay,
Yeah,
chain link,
yeah.
so they're gonna knock down the current one. to do-
Mhm.
So are they gonna use like old fencing chain link that they have, or they find new?
It would probably, I would imagine it would be new fence.
any other questions? We get a motion to approve resolution, 75,000 for the fencing.
Motion to approve 75,000 for fencing.
Second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Let's jump to, C here,
Services.
phase one site assessments. That's C. Yeah.
Take this one also.
Go for it.
This is phase one screenings of both 6468 Beekman and the existing DPW site at River Street. And this would tell us if there's any subsequent phase two screenings that would be required, or any, what potential environmental cleanup of both of those sites would be required moving forward.
Where are we doing the River Street one now?
Say it again.
Are we doing the River Street one now?
Well, mainly economies of scale. If it's something, we're gonna do it at some point in the future, so two birds, one stone.
They're gonna drill.
No, that would, anything like that would be covered under a phase two. So this is purely historical research, going back through environmental liens and things like that.
Those reports from DEC, that kind of thing, and if a phase one indicates that you move to a phase two, then they get more invasive and that's more expensive. So the hope would be on both of them, there'd be none.
So they just look at what's been there before to figure out.
Right.
what's the-
Gas stations are classics, they start looking for closure reports on tanks, things like that. Any spill cleanups nearby.
The farm must.
Is it just those two sites or we,
Just those two for right now.
when will that happen?
Within the next couple of weeks.
We want 64 to 68 notice to proceed right away, probably just this way, have a contingency period, we'll get to that part.
Motion to approve,
6,800 for HRP?
Two combined.
Yeah, two properties.
Mhm.
All right. Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And what? Want to talk about this one?
We can, if you want to do.
Think it-
It's up to you. We
Is it
can-
ready to go?
Yep.
Mm,
Sure. We have a third resolution that's been prepared for this evening regarding the proposed acquisition of 64 to 68 Beekman Avenue, vacant lands on Beekman. We have a draft contract prepared for execution this week. If the board wants to discuss that proposed acquisition, an executive session motion can be made to answer any questions, and we can come back out and take action on that in open session if you'd like.
So what are we actually approving in this resolution?
The proposed resolution would authorize the acquisition of the two parcels for $875,000 plus closing costs. It has a seeker finding for the acquisitions.
This is approving the LDC and
That's right.
acquiring the property. At the behest of the
Right,
Village.
yeah, there's a joint proposal by the village,
shell.
the LDC to undertake that acquisition, future redevelopment opportunities.
And there were two items sent to you, I think, under attorney client.
Yeah, I
Okay.
saw those. Okay, we can discuss this more, but we can approve this now, yeah.
Okay, if you'd like to, yeah.
Is everybody okay approving this now? We can certainly discuss more detail and effect, but, if everyone's fine. That's for a motion to approve purchase of 6468 B.
Motion to approve purchase of 6468 Beacon, as described in the resolution.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's done. Dan, you don't report?
Okay.
I saw your pictures.
Did not, saw that and I didn't get.
Yeah, take a look. So we'll start as usual with everything that's going down on the east parcel. The sanitary sewer repairs are effectively complete. There's just a little bit of grading to bring it to final grade, and then removal of the bypass are all that remains. As far as the precast wall construction, down closer to Beekman, they are about halfway done, the fourth row from the bottom. So it comprises about 38% of the total units that are being installed, or 162 of 424. And the actual,
Hold on. So I was down there the other day and, so how high, how many, levels is the thing?
at the far north end, I believe it ends at a six
Wow.
rows high. So they're
It's pretty
almost
high right now, and it's what, a 4,
12 feet.
is it 3 right now or 4?
4. So at the far north end, they have 4 rows. As you get to about the middle of the wall, it steps down to 3 rows. And then at the far south corner where it makes the turn, that's where they're, pretty much at 2 to 3 full rows. At that southernmost point, it's actually 9 courses, right, of units. So, as you're going north to south, if you were driving towards Beekman, the profile of the roadway comes up. So while they've almost reached full height at the northernmost end, they still have some more work to
I
do at the
noticed
south
that,
end.
yeah.
And that'll become apparent, as they get to the 5th and 6th row. And then there's that 6th row is some capping pieces. So those don't look like the big
Right.
rectangular blocks. They're a little thin. And then they would construct a concrete barrier with a moment slab when the time comes. So overall percentage complete of the wall, just as a standalone, is about 65%.
And can you just explain the southern end of the wall? So you've got the bridge,
Mhm.
the Beekman Avenue Bridge, right? Got the building. I noticed the wall and it kind of stops and there's some smaller pieces. I mean, how does the wall join up with
So there's,
the bridge, if you will?
it doesn't actually meet up with the bridge. So at what you can see, looking down from Beekman Avenue, if you're standing like in the middle of the bridge looking over, is there's some 45-degree like corner pieces.
Right.
And at the bottom, that's the bottom of the wall. But there's a slope, there's that existing slope that comes sharply up to Beekman Avenue, right? That's the abutment of Beekman Avenue Bridge. And then there's an old masonry wall that, that holds back, that bridge abutment from the railroad tracks. So this new wall tapers back at 45 degrees and will tie into the slope. So there's like a wing, if you like a triangular portion that, at the bottom,
Heading south?
heading south, but southeast rather. So it'll come in by 20 or so feet towards the building at an angle. And then, the blocks will step up as it
But
continues
it'll
further
be
south.
flush, right? There's not gonna be any.
No, it's flush straight down, but there is a 45-degree angle
Where they meet,
where yes, so
so between the two, I guess, is there?
there will be like a little slope that goes down between our wall and Beekman Avenue. So drainage will, anything that sloughs off the road goes down to the track level.
And how wide would you say that area is
Between the
between the bridge and that wall?
between the bridge and our wall, I think we come maybe within 50 feet or less of the actual Beekman Ave side of it.
So that will be the slope.
There'll be a steep slope that kind of comes down, and then everything, once you get to the top of the wall level, will be mostly flat. So I think the top of our wall is at about elevation 148 at that point, and Beekman Avenue, or the other side of the UAW, is about 152. So there's only about a four foot grade differential between the top of our wall and where that road extension
Yeah.
is going.
Has somebody taken into account the stormwater runoff between the roads?
Yes. That was the number one point of, the drainage there with Metro North, right? Because it was a large problem before because there was nothing, where all that stormwater was coming down the track level and essentially flooding. So now up above will be that road has all, closed storm drainage that takes it into the east parcel from up high versus it before it went down below the viaduct and
Yeah.
eventually made its way. So that whole drainage situation at the back there has been resolved.
And so what happens to the water between the two?
It's just whatever surface runoff, it goes to the front of the wall. And there's just, it'll be a little, I mean, you won't even notice it, but it slowly just drains north. And eventually makes it to the same spot, but it's just much, much less stormwater that's making it there now.
So much north, I know issue.
No, not with any, I mean, that's. They want this to be done just as much, right? Because it's addressing what was a problem
Yeah,
with
they must love it.
John Hudson,
Yeah.
yeah. Additionally, demolition of 193 Beekman, the abatement prep started today. So the abatement contractor is essentially getting that, making it safe to get rid of all the.
Demo was.
We had a demo meeting, but it's two stages. There's the friable demolition, there's the friable asbestos that gets abated first. Then, once that happens, then the building can come down, with the controlled demolition in place. So there will likely be a lag to allow Con Ed to come in and cut and cap their services once that friable asbestos has been abated. But the interior work, so you won't see anything from the outside, but on the inside, and the contractor left the lights on today, so if you drive by, you'll probably notice a bunch of lights on in the building.
They have.
They'll be reminded.
Listen.
So, because they're using the lights they can see what they're doing.
Okay.
Our service has been canceled at 193, but yeah, there was always, I think it's it varied between $30 and $45 a month. Because we were also, aside from the lights, which were never really used, we did at points have on the property, right? So there was a need for power.
Okay, so when will the demolitions begin?
The physical,
Warren thought it was last week. I thought it was 2 or 3 weeks ago.
well, we had
When are we gonna get it done?
it's the asbestos abatement, the friable asbestos abatement will be taking place between this week and next week. And the physical demolition, the physical removal of the building can happen as early as the end of next week for about 3 weeks. So likely between now and the middle of January or end of January, that process will play out.
And how long will it take?
They have a timeline combined, the abatement, the interior abatement, and then just the demo of 4 weeks total. That's what
So they'll be, when they do actually start to demolish it, they'll be loading trucks up and.
They'll have
Away.
dumpsters on site that they will fill up and then haul away as they go, yeah. So I don't know if it's, however much they can fill up in a day, and at the end of the day, they truck it out, or they may be several in and out per day. It depends on where, I don't know what where it's actually going and how long it takes to get there.
And they have all their permits and everything.
No manifesting.
There will likely be something generated by, when the dumpster goes to wherever it's going. That's all tracked.
Who signs?
I have to look into that and get back to you.
This is a serious liability issue. You sign.
I don't plan on signing anything because I'm not there on a day-to-day basis overseeing work.
I
So
understand.
I'll look into see if it's something that WSP or, I don't believe it's Quest. They're only responsible for the air monitoring. But I'll get an answer.
Sometime somebody's gonna show up and say, hey. Usually. that's-
Right.
This is,
What else you got,
it's
Dan?
just a cradle to grave situation. We own it forever.
For ACM, they just carted and they find a landfill, they'll take it, right?
Correct.
So
Once-
it's a
once-
regular landfill.
It is, I don't believe it's a regular landfill for the asbestos containing material.
No, especially.
Anything that's miscellaneous construction debris.
I mean,
I believe it is in the work plan that they generated. I can get an answer on that. I just don't have the information available
They're taking it down just to the top of footings or what's there?
Everything,
Okay.
foundation,
Okay.
there'll be nothing there but whatever dirt they put back to level it out. Aside from that, I did meet with a gentleman that used to work, I guess is involved with the UAW and used to work at the GM plant. He took that big blue UAW sign, so that's been taken out of there. I also did take,
What's he gonna do with it?
he said he was gonna just fix it up and find somewhere to like display it,
I'm
so.
glad we suggested to do that, make sure this,
Yeah, Charles Lowe, I don't know if anyone, if the name rings a bell with anyone, but,
Is he local?
he must be somewhat local. I mean, he worked at GM for, he said, about just almost 30 years, up until the day it closed. All right, aside from that, the recovery, schedule for the phase 2 work, obviously the substantial completion milestone, under Amendment 1 has passed. Sean's Lawns has been put on notice, of that. And they have, in turn, they have submitted an extension of time request. That is under review by WSP, so that we can determine what the next steps may be.
Other recovery. Oh.
Yeah, oh, yes, those are the glass inserts. I wasn't able to get there's like an aluminum housing.
Look at this.
I did ask,
Like old school.
So has some powdering her nose.
Chair. Cigarette, he's smoking a cigarette.
Well, let's see.
well, it's
Oh my
building
God.
went up in like the 1920, 1950.
It's quite hamper. Look at that. Nice looking slacks there.
Union hall too.
So I'll see, I did mention also to the contractor that's in there doing the abatement, I'm gonna check in with him tomorrow, but I did ask if he could unscrew the housing from the wall as part of their prep work and just set it aside for me. But if anyone, I don't know if anyone tinkers with stuff like this or wants to hang out, we can stick it in the attic or something. So,
Wow.
Hey, Dan, what else you got?
we'll keep moving right along. As far as the park project, the design build amendment, we have a draft of that and it's under review by Woodard and Curran. And this will effectively set the guaranteed maximum construction price, the scope and all of that timeline. So that'll be likely going back and forth over the next couple of weeks. The time that, we have an agreed upon amendment that'll, obviously need a resolution to, execute on that
What's the frame on project closeout?
for,
We talk about that in exec.
yeah, we can continue that. I don't want to get into that right at this moment. But what I will get into, is just a quick update on, our Q2 operating costs. Just a quick report. We are 50% through our fiscal year. And as of, December 1st, we've spent about 46% of our operating budget. So based on the projections moving forward for 6 months, it does show that we would come in around or slightly under budget by about $20,000. So that's something that I track, on a monthly basis. We'll have another update, in about 3 months or so, just to see if we're maintaining that path.
It's just project expenditure.
That has nothing to do with the signature account. That is just what it takes to run the LDC on an annual basis. I did also get an email. I mean, it was literally 5 minutes before this meeting started on the environmental insurance policy that'll be reverting over to the LDC. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but I'll pass that around and, there'll likely be a decision that's needed in the coming weeks.
Do you remember how much it was?
I literally just opened it up, I did a
Okay.
cursory glance, so I don't wanna put my foot in my mouth. But I'll pass it around, after the meeting. Restore New York grant application, I'm working with Jenny on just finalizing whatever documents are gonna be submitted. That is due on the 20th, so this week. Hopefully that goes in. And then next LDC meeting would be January 13th. I believe that's in 4 weeks.
Okay, thanks, Dan. Have any old business or new business to discuss?
The RFPI being circulated. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but as far as procedure, what are your thoughts on, like, when do you want everybody's comments in by? When should we give it to? Probably the planning board and the trustees and. plan for that.
Well, as you mentioned, there's a draft that was circulated. At a minimum, there are some pictures and or graphics that we would need to update. And figure out what, I guess, exactly it is. If it's just a matter of getting some new photographs or having anything generated. And then within that draft, there was also sections of the RFEI that I highlighted, right? That are effectively, I mean, they are broad as written. Those would be the areas that we would need to decide if we're going to refine at all to.
I think there's a lot of work to be done on that.
Yeah.
So after the holidays, I think we're gonna need to commit some more time.
Okay.
To get that in shape and make sure strategically we're comfortable with what's gonna go out and, so
Yes.
we'll work on that in January.
And is it, are we doing one for each? Because it's just,
So that's something we should discuss, so.
Oh, yeah.
At this stage, I think it was just for 193, but I think that's a discussion.
Yeah.
We should decide how broad we want to go with this.
Okay, so we're.
Okay.
So is the planning board is going to figure out what everybody wants?
So I think that's what we're gonna talk about.
Yeah. Okay, anything else? Otherwise, I'd like to go into discuss legal matters and contract negotiations.
Motion to go to executive session.
All in favor, say aye.
Bye.
Yeah.